So this is a survey from a company called Bazaar Voice, who specialize in e-commerce, and they actually provide review software to a lot of companies across the UK, big companies such as Argos, through the mid-tier companies who specialize in e-commerce. And they've collated all this data, and it gives us a really good insight into what has happened in e-commerce. So if by chance you're on this and you have been running an e-commerce store up until now, e-commerce generally has been growing about 15 to 20% per year, depending on what industry you're in. So if you had an e-commerce site live last year, you should have been hoping that you would have been growing that by 15 to 20%. That would be the industry average when you pull all the industries together and see how growth has happened across everyone. But of course, some industries are performing much better than others. So if you were in that 15 to 20% increase bracket, then you're doing very well. But obviously still, if you're 5%, 10%, 9%, it's excellent growth year on year. And of course, we'll all take that at all times. But what is really interesting is that we went in a matter of weeks to 96% increase as an industry. And also we see data here from May. Question we're often asked, is it going to go back to normal? Is this demand for e-commerce, is it going to tail away? Or are we going to see continuing high numbers after this? And we see the number for May here is 83%. So there has been a little bit of a tail off, and we would have expected that. But we actually think it's going to remain quite high. It's not going to be in the 90% growth for sure, but it is going to be a lot higher than it has been, maybe 50, 60% month on month, because our behaviors change, but also those of our customers has changed. We're spending a lot more time at home. And what's also interesting, we've seen stats that show that mobile traffic is down, and because people aren't on their mobile devices as much, because we're on our desktops and laptops. So it's really interesting to see how people are consuming content and visiting our shops. Also, we've seen a dramatic increase across a range of sites that have rich content on the sites. And what you can see here in the green bar is the number of page views on the sites that were measured. So 6,200 sites measured for this chart, and they've seen a massive increase in visits to those sites. And we would see that across a number of sites that we would manage. So if there's a lot of content on a site, it has done quite well as people turn to the internet to do more research instead of maybe browsing through a shop. And in today's webinar, we're going to talk about products and services. So again, if you do sell a product or you do sell a service, then we've got something in this for you. We're going to look at a couple of stats first, and then we're going to look at 3 e-commerce options that you should consider. So this again is from the same company, Bazaar Voice, if you want to go and check out their article. It is a very interesting read. And they've looked at the industries. So again, everyone is in a different industry. And why I put this up is that, again, you can see the trend. So last month we were looking at this, and the leading industries were toys and games and entertainment for growth, and they were in the 200%. But this month, when they've pulled in this month's data, we've seen hardware has jumped up, electrical has jumped up, but not as high as hardware, and services has actually taken pole position. And that's a very interesting one for anyone here that offers a service. So people are actually buying more services online than they were last year. So it's 216% up. And that's probably, again, because we can't go to businesses. And then people are transforming their business to offer their service online. An example of that could be, if we think of an accountant, for example, maybe they would traditionally charge manager accounts, and once a year they put in your accountant to HMRC and they charge a fee once a year. But we've actually seen now accountants who have changed their business model slightly and are offering a SaaS model, so a monthly charge, a monthly retainer. So you can, instead of having a lump sum once a year, you can actually go onto their website and pay a monthly fee and have their advice throughout the year. What they're doing is they're using digital now to generate revenue every single month and to maintain cash flow and transforming their business, but also making it easier for customers to pay as well. So again, how can you transform your service and take it online and offer it? Is it through a course? Do you do coaching? And we think of all the lessons, from yoga teachers to health and fitness classes that have moved online. It is an incredible opportunity. A question we're asked as well, is it too late to move online? Is it too late to set up an e-commerce site? I don't have one. Have I missed the boat? And the answer is definitely no. You haven't done that. E-commerce is still new. it's only 30 years old if we go back to the very first website that was set up in e-commerce, but really it's only been in the last 5 or 10 years it's starting to come into its own. So this is a very young industry, so you're not too late to get online. Now is the perfect time when we see this massive sea change to buy products and services online. It's a great time to be going online, and better today than tomorrow. So definitely it's great that you're on this webinar and even considering e-commerce. Just one thing I wanted to highlight is that once you make the decision on which platform to use and you're selling online, you do need to realize that you are going to become a full-time marketeer. Again, if you're a solopreneur, or you own your own business and it's just you, or you've got a small team, you are going to have to understand digital marketing, get to know how to build your brand online. And there's no escape from that unless you're going to hire someone and bring them in, and employment is all good, and that there is opportunities in that, which is great. Or you're going to pay maybe a freelancer or a consultant or an agency to come in and help you. But no matter what, we would still advise that you would get to learn and understand the basics of e-commerce and digital. So when they're talking to you, you actually know what they're talking about and can challenge, which is very important. And just the last thing to note there is it will take time. You're not going to set up an e-commerce today and have a lot of sales tomorrow. It does take a little bit of time, and you'll build up over months and years. And we'll talk about that as we go through the slides. So just quickly, I would prompt you to think of the problem that you're solving with your product or service and why that's important. And for sure, you'll already have done this in your business, unless you're setting up something new, is that you want to take that concept and you're going to put that all through your e-commerce site, because these are going to be key points or touch points that you're going to use to sell your product or service when you're not online and you're not answering chat. You want your website to sell these products or service for you. So just again to think about what's the problem you're solving with your product or service, why are they different, and why are you better than the competition? What is your point of difference? And some areas that we have seen companies do very well in this, and you could have products, and you see this all the time, a product that exists in the market, but someone comes along with a slightly different design. And maybe, again, we've seen it recently, they've added personalization to a product, and that gives their new product enough of a difference that it actually is a roaring success online. Could you look at functions of your product and how it works? And again, back to the accountant and how he or she operates their business, and they move to a monthly payment option online and providing maybe online trainings just like this. Or are you going to look at price, and are you going to price low and sell direct to consumer? So if you're selling furniture or equipment, is that going to be a strategy you're going to use? Or are you high end and exclusive, and that's your price is going to be to reflect that? And again, these are all things that will impact your decision on the platform that you use and how you sell. And another thing we've seen, obviously in the past and even more recently, time limits. We've seen some companies and entrepreneurs putting limits on products, so bringing out a limited edition or sign up now before the price goes up or the product goes away. So they seem to be working really well as well. So all these little things that you can consider when you're launching your e-commerce. So the market, so who are you selling to? And this, again, is probably, for me, it's probably one of the most important questions that you can ask and answer yourself. And of course, no one can afford to sell to everyone, and not even Amazon or any of the big stores out there. They just can't do it. So who are you selling to? And the reason for that question is, where are they? So if you're selling a service to business owners, then you're going to be using platforms like LinkedIn as opposed to maybe TikTok, which is a young demographic. But if you're selling something to young people, then obviously TikTok is probably going to be more important. So where are you selling? But not only that, we want to look at third-party platforms that you could sell on. So where do people shop? Where are they buying? Are they going to Google looking for your service, or are they going to another site? Since we're talking about bookkeepers and accountants today, I continue that theme for this example. So an example I can give is actually we signed up for QuickBooks 2 years ago, and we needed some help when we signed up to that platform. We actually went to the directory on their platform, and we put in our postcode and found a local bookkeeper in there that specialized in it. We contacted them, and they became our bookkeeper. again, ironically, when I looked at that and remembered, there wasn't a lot of people. This is going back 2 years ago. There wasn't a lot of people there. There was very few options. There was maybe 5 or 6 people. And I went in this week and checked, and there's about 44 people offering bookkeeping and accountancy services through the QuickBook platform. So again, are you offering your service where your customers are? And again, there's a massive opportunity there. For example, anyone who's offering a service to jump in and offer their service on platforms like that. And there is platforms for every single service that's available online, and we'll talk about some of them as well. So you do need to make a decision. So are you going to set up your own e-commerce website, or are you going to sell on an existing platform? And there's 3 options around your own e-commerce site, and then a 4th option to sell. And we're going to go through each of these. So you can use a website builder, you can use an e-commerce platform, or if you already have your own site, there's going to be plugins that you can add to your site and make it ready for e-commerce. And third-party websites, of course, we're going to talk about the likes of, if it's for products, we have Amazon. And these numbers here are the monthly visits in the UK alone. So you know our population, but look at the monthly visits that Amazon gets in the UK. Absolutely incredible. We look at eBay, Etsy, 27 million people visit it every month. And these are products, of course. Etsy, if you do crafts, Folksy is a competitor to Etsy. As I say, these are focused on products, but there is, of course, service sites as well. So if you offer a service, why not go to Google and type that in, and type in freelancer, for example. And what you'll find is that you will find sites that offer your service. There's sites for mechanics, car mechanics, through to designers. And what that does, that opens your business up to not only local customers, but a global audience. So we really would recommend that no matter what decision you make in setting up your own e-commerce shop, that you leverage these platforms, if it's a product or a service. Why we say that is, think of your own behavior. If you're going to buy a product, do you go straight to Amazon and make that purchase? Or do you go to Google and make that purchase? Or do you go to eBay, for example? So me personally, I have been conditioned now, and I just open Amazon.com or .co.uk for any purchase I'm making for a product. I've stopped going to Google, which is shameful for sure, but they have conditioned me to do that, and because they make it so easy for me. So, but my point is that if you have a website and you're selling in your own asset, there's a certain amount of people that will never find it because they go to a shopping platform like Amazon or eBay or Etsy all the time. So you want to be on that platform as well if you can be. And again, as I say, it's the exact same for the service websites. Do find them and get registered on them. Create a profile, fill out the service you offer, and you'll find that you'll be open to a world of opportunities in that respect. So the key elements of an e-commerce site, obviously you want to take payments online. We can do chip and pin, card payments, all different types of cards, all the way to PayPal, and many more options for payments. One of the key advantages, if you have an actual shop and you have products, you can actually manage your store inventory. So on your website, you actually show what's available. So you don't want people buying things that aren't available. That is not what you want, because that'll only really annoy people. You know, you go through the site, you've read something, you put it in the cart, and you can't buy it because it's not available. Very frustrating. Or even worse, they put it in the cart and buy the product, and you go to look for it in your store and it's not there. So that is not a good customer experience. You do not want that happening. So that's why a good e-commerce platform will take care of that headache totally for you. Look at your user experience. So you want to convert your website visitors into sales. That's the whole idea of having an e-commerce site. And we don't want to make it too complex for people to go through and purchase. We want to make it as easy as possible. Again, Amazon is a good example. They have the one-click buy. So when I find something in Amazon, open the profile, there's a button there that I can press, and it's one-click buy, and it's done. How easy can you make it for people to buy on your website? Because what we see sometimes is that you have to jump through about 6 or 7 pages. And what we know, and there's loads of stats, and we know it ourselves, is that every time you have to go to a new page to make a purchase, you're making it harder for that person to convert, and you'll lose people. So you don't want that to happen. So consider the features that you need, and we're going to talk about that as we go through the slides. Ease of use for you and for customers. The pricing. So obviously every single option has a different price, And I've put in here a note here, but actually look at the true cost, because the pricing is one thing, but actually the true cost to you. So let's say, again, you're selling a product in this case, and the platform that you have selected as your e-commerce platform, it has a pricing model where they charge 20p plus 3% of every single unit you sell or every single order you sell, yet your products are £10 each. So it's actually taking quite a high percentage of your every single cost, and that's going to, or every single sale, and that's going to impact your profit dramatically. But of course, if you have a platform that doesn't do that, or the fees are lower for your product, then actually the true cost is going to be less. So do look at the true cost and work it out. So let's say, for example, you sell 100 products. What does that look like? What if you sell only 10? What is the true cost for every one of those? You want to know that, so you make sure that you keep an eye on your profit and your margins. Does the platform that you're going to use, does it have templates? So again, easy to use, look really, really good, amazing designs. And then marketing. So marketing, as I mentioned already in an earlier slide, as soon as you have your e-commerce set up, you become a marketeer. You are a digital marketeer. Is marketing a good option? Security and GDPR, very important, of course. And we look at some of the sites around that. And what is their support like? What support are they going to give you? So the three things we're going to look at, as I say, the three options. So website builders, e-commerce platforms, and then actually plugins. And they're the three types. After, of course, the third-party websites. And now, again, that's Amazon, eBay, Upwork, QuickBooks if you're, and Xero if you're accountants, for example. And there's so many more sites like that. So you should really genuinely consider going into those platforms, because there's an audience there. And then, as I said, then we need to look after your own home, because those platforms are great, but you can't control things on those. So if they put up the prices or change how they rank your profile, you lose control. So that's why you do want to still have your own house where you actually sell from, and you can hopefully make a better margin. So we're going to look at website builders. So we've pulled out two here, and you may already know these, and some of you may use one of these. So Wix is a very big platform. Has 180 million users. Squarespace is a competitor to it, and it has about 1.4 million. They don't publish the numbers, but that's what's estimated. And these basically are blog sites, and that's what their foundation is, and that's what they're set up for. A great way to launch a brand online. And as I say, if you already have one of these sites, then maybe you would look at the e-commerce option and consider adding that in if it's right for your business. And we're going to look at some of the pros and cons of that in the next slides. So you can see here, here's pricing for Wix is one that we pulled up. And you can see that you can just have an ordinary website, a blog website, or you can go for the business and e-commerce options, and you pay monthly for that. And Squarespace operates the exact same business model. The pros and cons of these. So they are incredibly easy to use. I mean, incredible. If you've never used Wix, I would recommend you even just sign up just to see how it works. It is incredible. On Wix, they have a thing called ADI, and you put in some basic details about your business and press a button, and it will actually design a website for you. And then you can customize the design and the content on it and publish that site live. So it is an incredible option to use. And if you've never done anything online and you don't have a website, then it's definitely something you should consider if it's the right fit for you. As I say, Wix has a great range of designs that you can use. Everything is in one platform, so it's you don't have to worry about plugins or anything. It's all in one platform. Squarespace, as we're talking about it as well, scores slightly lower in Google page speed, and that's a test that we look at when we're looking at SEO and marketing. And historically, platforms like this would have been not great for SEO and marketing, but they have improved greatly over the last couple of years. They've really focused on it, and I wouldn't say they're the best, but they're actually very good. And just a note, in my opinion, Squarespace isn't as easy to use as Wix, but we're talking margins here. It is a very good system. So if you're considering one of these, and there is other options out there as well, just these are two of the biggest ones we pulled in, what you should do is sign up to both of them and free trials in each, and see which one feels better for you and is easier to use, and then you can actually invest your time and build that out. The downsides, of course, there's downsides with everything. Once you select a template in these platforms, it is a wee bit harder to change your design. So they have loads of designs, and you launch your site and you've got an amazing design, but in a year's time you want to change that design, then it's a wee bit harder. You have to change it manually. You can't go and press a button and have a brand new design site tomorrow. Maybe that might come in the future. It would be an amazing feature, but it's not there yet. So you have to manually change your design if you want to adjust your template. It can be harder to use as a user and even as a customer. Once you go over 30 pages, it starts getting a wee bit bulky. The features, if you can imagine, these platforms are built to appeal to millions of people. So they have to do loads of things well, but not amazing. And what we find is that, once you start going over 30 pages and your site gets big, then it starts to get a wee bit harder to use. So if you believe that you're going to have a big site, you're going to add a lot of products and a lot of content, then maybe these sites are not for you. But if you're going to have a small store, it's only going to be a few pages, you're not going to add a lot of content, then these are really good to consider. So again, as I mentioned, they're not suitable for large stores or complex stores, definitely not, and not great for B2B. Again, they're more focused on B2C, business to consumer. So again, you're setting up a small business website. But they are, as I say, a good option. Then we can look at e-commerce platforms. So what an e-commerce platform is, basically something that is built only for e-commerce. And we're going to look at one of these today, and this is very popular. And again, you may have heard of this. And it is called Shopify. Even its name says shop. And what's different between this and the previous two examples, they were more blog and general, and you can add in e-commerce into them. But its primary focus is to sell. Its primary focus is e-commerce. So if you don't have a website online today or a brand online today, and you want to sell online and you have a lot of products, then this might be something that you should really consider. I'm going to go through some of the key features and the disadvantages of this as well. But as I say, this is built for e-commerce. That's it. That is the primary focus. And if that is what your business is, then this is something that you do need to have a look at. They have free and premium themes when you go in, so you can pick one of their standard designs, or you can look at one of the upgrade options and pull that into what your shop looks like. And again, to do the inventory. So that was a very important thing for many businesses, to do manage your stock. So very important. And I've put up here some of the pricing, again, so monthly pricing, and it's in dollars, but you can get an idea. They do have shopify.co.uk, so you will get UK pricing, but this gives you an idea of the pricing points and where it starts. One of the key aspects, and again, if you remember the earlier slide, we did mention that you are going to become a digital marketeer if you like it or not. And that is one of the real advantages of this platform. They have actually recognized that and built in amazing marketing tools, absolutely incredible, into their platform. So that the social integrations into Instagram and Facebook, second to none. It makes it very easy for you as a business owner to market and to promote your products. There's integrations into analytics, ads. It is a dream to use in that respect. They want to build a platform that allows business owners to sell online and offline. And here you can see some of the options. So again, you can add a buy button into your blog posts. As I mentioned, you can sell on social media. And again, they're developing new features. So we heard when we went into lockdown and during this period of COVID that Facebook are launching Facebook shops. Well, in America, they're trying to build in this feature now, and it might even be in the UK store now, where you can register and have a look at what Facebook shops look like in your Shopify account. And in the US, they have an option where you can integrate your store into Amazon. So again, they recognize that that's a great opportunity for people to sell on. And they can, once you've uploaded your products into your Shopify store, it will actually sync with Amazon. That's in the US at the moment. It's not here yet, but again, it gives us a flavor of what's coming. So you can see the opportunities and potential of a real true e-commerce platform. And it as I say, it's a dream of a platform. If you were to think of what you'd need in a system, then this definitely has it all. Some sites that use this, I don't know if you've heard of a company called Gymshark. If you haven't, on a side note, do Google Gymshark and how they've marketed or how they've grown. It's a very interesting case study, and it'll give us all inspiration. But it's one of these companies that just absolutely exploded in social media and done an amazing job. It actually started in 2019. The founder was 19 then and started it in his parents' house. And they actually started on Shopify. The business got so big that they actually moved from Shopify to Magento, and they spent a year building a custom Magento site. So this is one of the custom options out there, and it's a very, very good platform. Magento 2 launches next year, but it is more bespoke and high-end, and it's for companies on scale. But they moved to Magento and spent a year building out the site and relaunched it. And sadly, well, not sadly, of course, we'd all love this problem. Their business doubled in that year. They were so good at online marketing, and the Magento site couldn't actually cope with the business, and the Shopify reached out to them to develop a new product called Shopify Plus. So if you do grow your business online with Shopify, they actually have a Shopify Plus for big stores, and you can get bespoke help. And at the moment, they're turning over 70 million through their Shopify site. So can it run big businesses? Yes. If you go into this, will it grow with you? Yes, it will. So again, it's just interesting to see that, because what you don't want to do is invest in a platform for a year or two and have to maybe move then. But again, it's more important to start and get selling, and that's a good problem to have in a year or two for sure. Here's just some other brands are using it. Kylie Jenner launched her cosmetics on it. So again, just thinking of the volume of orders going through that. We have a clothes brand here, a famous clothes brand. We all know the polo shirts for sure. Collins, collins.co.uk, the UK educational site, it has launched as well and uses this platform. So again, another great example of people using this platform. So it does really work. So things to consider. So some downsides of this platform. So again, there's pros and cons, of course. The simplicity does come at a cost. So sometimes you'll want to change something and you can't. When you invest in a platform like this, you're kind of, it's like buying a house. The walls, you can't change the walls or the structure of the building, but you can paint it. That's probably a good way to explain what you can and can't do. So the box is fixed, so you can change the things around the box, but you can't change the box. So you might want to change some things, but you find you can't. But I'd say that's a rare occasion. You don't have full control of your e-commerce business compared to maybe a custom solution. So Shopify is running everything. So again, just if they change their business model or fees in the future, it's a small risk, and of course things change. And normally software companies will implement a thing called grandfathering, where they'll maintain a price that you're on today, even though they have a higher price for people coming in the future. And that's pretty normal in software businesses, and we'd be on quite a few platforms with that kind of arrangement. So it's a small risk. And then the fees, they have slightly higher fees if you use different payment gateways. And that's really to try and get you to use their own Shopify payment system. So again, going back to that true cost that we talked about earlier, why it's important to, so there is a difference between all of these platforms. So when you're weighing up the pros and cons, you want to consider that. So then the third option we want to look at is website plugins. And if you already have a website, now we're making some assumptions here that if anyone's on here, that they're maybe a relatively small business and potentially they have a WordPress site. So if so, then there's a plugin that we would recommend or suggest that you look at. It's called WooCommerce. So if you already have a WordPress website and you have people visiting that site and you've built a bit of traffic to it, you've got content on it, maybe in your consideration, the decision you need to make is if you're a true blue e-commerce site, do you go to a custom platform, or do you stay with WordPress and bring an e-commerce plugin? And as I say, an e-commerce plugin to consider would be WooCommerce. And of course, there is a few options out there. We're just highlighting some of them again in this webinar, just to get you thinking and highlighting some of the pros and cons and things you need to consider when you're looking at this. So WooCommerce, perfect for it's a WordPress plugin. It's free, so this is unique. It's free to start with, so you can add WooCommerce to your site, and you're not paying an upfront cost, and there's no monthly fees at the base level. I'll come back to that. And it's one of the biggest e-commerce providers in the world, and we're going to look at some numbers on that as well. Some of the downsides of WooCommerce is the support isn't as good as some of those other examples we highlighted to you. that there is better support in other platforms for sure. Some of the teams, so they've got loads of options. Oh my word, loads of options. It's incredible. But some of them aren't as polished maybe as you'd find in some of the other options, especially when if a platform has 100 designs and they're really all amazing. WooCommerce has went the other way. There's a lot more designs than that, but some of them aren't great, and the plugins they're okay. You're responsible for hosting, security, and upgrades to that site, which are all very, very important. When you're dealing with e-commerce, you need to make sure your site is secure. You need to make sure that you're encrypted and you're following all the guidelines around security. Any update that comes into WordPress, you need to make sure it's done, because they would leave your site vulnerable to risks if you didn't. And then you have to pay for hosting as well, whereas the other packages would have hosting built in. And this is the clincher, is that you then have to pay for your extensions. So you can start with WooCommerce for free, but then if you want to add in advanced analytics or advanced marketing options, then you buy them as plugins or bundles and add them to your plugin. So that's where they make their money and how they charge their platform. And what you normally find is that they have a price for a year, and you pay that, and then you get support for that year, and you can renew that a year later. So it does the pricing model is a wee bit different, and you need to take that into consideration. So you can start very, very cheaply and get live. And what we would recommend is you don't add many plugins at the start, the paid plugins. But what you can do is, as you grow your business and you need more advanced features, you can add them in, and that's a good way to keep the cost down and keep control. Some sites that use this, again, I've just highlighted there in the text box in the middle, that in January this year is estimated that 3.8 million websites were using WooCommerce, which is an incredible number to think. And here's some of the sites that use it. So we've got Sony Music, Variety in the USA, the Star Wars blog, BBC America, and Bloomberg. One of the Bloomberg sites use WooCommerce on their website. So again, it is well used, well tried, and trusted out there. So you do have a decision to make, and as I say, this will be influenced by, I guess, the question: are you online already? Do you already have a site? Because if you're already in Wix or Squarespace or something like this, then maybe the easy option today is to add in that e-commerce module that it has, because you don't want to be going through a big process of creating a new site and launching and going through that cost, and build your brand. And then at some point when you've grown your business, you can actually then make an informed decision of which platform you want to grow to, if that's not where you're going to end up on. And all of this is a journey. You don't know where you're going to be with your website, your platform in 5 years, never mind 2 years or 10 years. So the key here is actually getting live and selling today online with e-commerce. So if you're already online, if you have a WordPress website, then maybe you're going to be slightly biased towards something like WooCommerce. But if you haven't got a really big web presence, then maybe you would look at something like Shopify as an option, a purebred e-commerce site. And again, there is other options out there. So that's a key thing just to throw into the mix and when you're making your decision on what to do. And again, just to highlight that, yes, the platform is one thing, and you need to make the right decision, or the best decision at that time for your business. You just need to make the decision, get it done and live, and then you have to turn over to being a digital marketeer. So that's the real work starts then after all the pressure in getting your e-commerce site live. And when you go with this, you're going to be looking at things. And just to highlight, we have a more advanced e-commerce webinar next week, and we're going to dive deeper into this. It's not going to be about marketing, but how you elements of marketing, but how you set up your website for e-commerce, how you can control the flow, what you should be putting on pages, and making sure that you're not putting roadblocks into converting customers into buying. So we're going to look at that on next week's webinar. So do, as I say, as ever, go to Lisburn and Castlereagh City Council's Eventbrite and make sure you register for that and join us for the 45 minutes on that and ask your questions again for sure. And I see loads of questions coming in, so do keep them coming. So yeah, you're going to look at pricing. So you want to have clear pricing to your customer. You don't want, and the third option there, I was going to put it first, but I put it third, cart abandonments. That is going to be something that it's going to haunt you at night, because you'll see people when you launch your e-commerce site, you'll see people taking products. You've worked so hard to get them onto your site and to select a product or service, put it into a cart, and then not make that final purchase and commitment to buy. And you will be laying awake at night trying to work out why that is. And there's going to be simple things that you can do to improve your conversion, and then there's going to be harder things for sure. But it's a process of evolution and improvement. So you want to look at your pricing. Is there a hidden cost? So someone puts something into a cart and then goes to the payment page, and next thing it's £50 for delivery, and you're going, no way. So make sure that the costs are very upfront, so you avoid that and you don't annoy people that way. Should you add in postage into your price if you're selling a product? Do you have a price on one page, and then if it's a service and then someone clicks through to buy and all of a sudden it's a different price, and you're just confusing people? Flexible payment options is another thing. You get to the payment page and you have PayPal only, and some people don't realize that with PayPal you can pay with your credit card. They just see PayPal and go, oh no, don't have a PayPal account, it's not for me, and you lose them. So again, consider that when you're looking at your payment options. We're all focused on the cart abandonment anyway, no matter what. Product pages and descriptions. It's incredible the number of businesses that have an e-commerce site out there and do not fill the product pages and descriptions with loads of detail. Again, look at the Amazon example. If you go to most of the products that rank #1 on Amazon and have a look at their page. So think of a product, go search in Amazon and look at #1 in organic and look at that page. It's like they will have loads of pictures, really good pictures, might even have videos, key bullet points at the top. They're going to have loads of text detail, more pictures explaining the key advantages of the product, and then they're going to have reviews as well. So if you upload your product and copy and paste generic content from the supplier, and someone else sells a similar product or the same product, Google is not going to recognize that page. It's not going to rank it. People who land on it aren't going to be, you're missing your conversion. You're working very hard to get people to your website, and then your website isn't, your platform, your e-commerce platform isn't working for you. You're not selling. Again, remember, the whole idea of the e-commerce is that they sell 24/7 when you're not there. So if someone walked into a shop and they were looking at a product, if you were the salesperson there, what would you be telling them? And that's the kind of information you want on that page. You have a person on that page looking at your service and wondering, should I invest here? Should I buy? Or will I leave the page? And again, you do not want people to leave that page, because once they go, the chances of them coming back are very slim. So you've got one chance to sell, and that's by photos, really good bullet points and text, video of the product. Again, it doesn't have to be anything A grade. It can be a video you do yourself. It doesn't have to be professional. And if you're offering a service, you could have a video of yourself on the page, even recorded through Zoom. And again, we do have a video marketing webinar next week as well. So do join that, and you get some examples and ideas for that. But you could create a video explaining, record through Zoom, and put it onto YouTube, embedded into your product page or your service page, and explain what your service is. So again, back to the accountant. So what am I getting for my subscription every month? And you can actually explain that, and that's working for you 24/7. Saturday night, 8 o'clock, when someone's thinking, I need to change my accountant, you're closed. They're in Google and looking at reviews. They land on your site, and there's a video of you talking to them for 2 or 3 minutes, being personable and explaining the service you offer. Wow, how good is that going to be and stand out and be different from everyone else? And how is that going to impact your conversions? And now you're going to come in Monday to a load of new orders. That's exactly what it is and what we want to do. So blog content, if you write blogs on your e-commerce site, link these to your products. There's no point in having amazing blogs and sharing these on social media, but they're not linked to your products. And again, we see this all the time. And content that you should be doing, if you sell widgets, think of 10 best widgets, and you put that article, 10 best widgets for accountants. Again, they're my favorite today. But each of those 10 products links into, links into products on your own site. So if someone lands on that blog post, you share it, you're giving your advice in that article, you're actually selling, you're getting people onto those pages so they can buy, that sort of thing. Make sure your site is very shareable on social media. Is so important today. A clear return policy. So have you got a clear return policy? That will impact people making that decision to buy. And is it easy to use? How many clicks do I need to make to get to buy this product? Are you making me take 10 clicks and 10 pages, or can I buy it in 2 or 3? And again, we're going to cover that in more detail next week.